This video will show the docking procedure, broken in sections as prepare, approaching the dock, what to do after you've got to the dock.
Hey guys, this is Rob with Columbia Sailing School. Welcome to Sailing the Columbia Way. We're going to talk about docking tonight, a couple things to be aware of on the boat, just as far as planning how to come to the dock and really just to make sure the whole thing goes as smooth as possible. So first and foremost, you just want to be ready. You don't want to be approaching the dock if you don't yet have your fenders out or your lines ready. Then you're scrambling, you have to leave the wheel in potentially congested area and you're tying things off and it just gets a little bit chaotic relatively fast. So to start, we've already gone and gotten our fenders out, really just for us, midship at the beam of the boat, because that's going to be the part that's going to make contact. It's also not a bad idea to have maybe a ball fender or something on the bow if you're coming in bow two. So it's wise to just go ahead and get your equipment out and ready before you approach the dock. So we've got our fenders out at the appropriate height relative to whatever dock we're approaching. We've got our dock lines up. I like to flake them on the lifelines to the center part of the boat. So that way if I need to step away from the helm, they're right there. They're easy for me to grab. They're also up and ready for somebody on the dock to grab if there's somebody that's going to be there and grab a line for you, so they're not able to, if something's down on the deck, they're not really going to be able to grab it. And for the most part, we've got our fenders at midship where it's going to make contact with the dock. It's also not a bad idea whether you're going stern to or bow in first to just get a ball fender, typically your bigger fender, up at that point. So just because that's going to be the first place to make contact. So once we've got our equipment ready, the next decision we have to make is how are we going to approach the dock. And here in a place like Lake Michigan, we don't have current or tide to factor into that decision. It's really just primarily based off the wind. So you always want to go against the wind. So in this case, we've got our wind coming out of the east, southeast. So we're going to want to approach in that direction, primarily just because the elements are going to slow you down. So whether it's the wind or if you're in a place with tide or with current, then you're going to want to go against that. And that could even look like backing into a position if that's the only option you have, but we've got plenty of space here, so ideally you're always going to go in bow first. So we're going to be pulling in bow first, we're going to be starboard side two, and then really the last thing that's a part of our decision-making process is just going as slow as possible. So for the most part, we're pretty much always in idle speed. You can always add a little more momentum, but it can be a little difficult to take away momentum. As long as you're going fast enough, as fast as you'd be willing to hit something, then you're going at appropriate speed. So slow is the name of the game, slow as you can. And really as we're approaching our dock, I'm deciding, do I have enough momentum to get there? And if I do, then I'm gonna go ahead and kick it into neutral. So ideally you're coming up to your dock for at least one, maybe two boat lengths. And again, you can always kick it into forward gear again and just give it a little bit of idle to get that extra bit of wind. So sometimes on the Colgates, it gets a little bit hairy when you're trying to do both. If you have two people, that's obviously ideal. I'm keeping a hand on my tiller here, and then I'm keeping a hand back here to adjust speed or steer if need be. We got plenty of speed as we come into the dock if you want to take a shot that way. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it into neutral right here with plenty of advance time. I can just watch my momentum. I'm really looking side to side to gauge how quickly I'm going, not just looking forward, but side to side to see my speed. So right now I'm coming in pretty slow, especially if I start to lose steerage. That's a pretty good indication that it might be time to add a little bit. I'm just keeping it in idle. Pretty windy day, so I might need a little bit more. If it's a really calm day, then you might be able to just cruise 3 boat lengths just in neutral, but it just depends on the day. Right now I'm gonna have to keep a little bit more gas on because even just in idle, I'm not going terribly quick. Go ahead and knock it back into neutral. Keeping a pretty good angle toward the dock. If the wind is blowing me on, I can keep a shallower angle. If the wind's blowing you off, you gotta come in a little steep. Looking side to side, checking my speed. Got a line off the bow to the dock. Once both lines are in somebody's hand, secured to a cleat, I can go ahead and kill the motor, and then we're just going to do our final adjustments by hand. So really our last decision to make is what lines we're going to have on the dock. For the most part, you just want to get to the dock, get 2 lines on, a stern and a bow, secure it, make sure it's not moving anywhere. But once you are locked and loaded, secure on the dock, then you can add your spring lines, maybe a breast line, and just determine what you're going to need to leave the boat there secure. In this case, we've added 1 forward spring because the wind is pushing us back this way. So we've just taken a line from our winch. You could do it from a cleat, would be ideal. We just don't have a midship cleat. And we run it forward because the wind is trying to push us back. So it just determines if, it matters rather, if there are boats on either side of you and if you're likely to drift in a certain direction. So a spring line is going to prevent that forward and aft movement. So that's why we've decided to do that. Other than that, are pretty much direct to the dock, so they're keeping us pretty close. If they're not, sometimes you can add a breast line right at the midpoint of the boat directly to the dock, and that'll keep you from drifting significantly far away from the dock.